Hello Zenith women, and welcome to the channel. The most powerful person in the room is the one who doesn't care to be noticed. In a world obsessed with noise and validation, Sigma females move like shadows, quiet, deliberate, and utterly unfazed by the chaos around them. They are the rare enigma that society simultaneously admires and fears. But why fear someone who simply minds their own business? Because their unapologetic independence, sharp intellect, and refusal to conform unintentionally hold up a mirror to everyone else's insecurities. Here's a fun fact. Studies show that people are more afraid of being ignored than being disliked. Now imagine encountering someone who doesn't just ignore societal rules, they live above them, as if the very idea of fitting in is laughably beneath them. That's the Sigma female. She's not here to play the game, follow your rules, or soften her edges for anyone's comfort. And honestly, that level of indifference is both fascinating and horrifying. Let's dive into the 10 things Sigma females unknowingly do that leave people equal parts inspired and unnerved, because nothing's scarier than someone who doesn't need you. Number 1. They spot insecurities and never exploit them. Sigma females have an uncanny ability to spot insecurities in others, often without even trying. It's not about judging or prying, it's about how their sharp perception works. They notice the little things most people overlook, a fleeting expression, a subtle hesitation in speech, or even an overcompensation in behavior. They see through the masks people wear to hide their flaws and fears, reading between the lines with startling accuracy. What sets them apart, though, is what they don't do with this insight. While some might exploit such vulnerabilities for personal gain or leverage, Sigma females simply don't. It's not in their nature to manipulate or humiliate. Instead, they let people carry on as they are, keeping their observations to themselves. This restraint is what terrifies people the most. Knowing someone can see through your defenses but chooses not to use that knowledge against you creates a tension that's hard to describe. It's like standing in front of a mirror that reflects not just your appearance, but your inner flaws, fears, and doubts. People find themselves wondering, what does she know about me that I don't even know about myself? This silent awareness can be unsettling, especially for those who rely on facades or bravado to navigate the world. Sigma females don't call it out, but their very presence makes people feel exposed. It's not an intentional power play, it's just how they are. And yet, it leaves others second-guessing themselves, questioning their own authenticity. That's the paradox of the Sigma female. She doesn't exploit your weaknesses, but the fact that she could and doesn't leaves a haunting impression. It's a kind of quiet power that speaks louder than words, and it lingers long after she's left the room. Number 2. They challenge people without saying a word. Sigma females possess an aura that speaks louder than words, and it's this quiet intensity that challenges people on a fundamental level. They don't need to argue, preach, or push their views onto others. Their very existence is enough to unsettle those around them. Their authenticity, independence, and unshakable sense of self create a stark contrast against the masks others wear to fit in. Being around a Sigma female forces people to confront uncomfortable truths about themselves. It's not that she's trying to make anyone feel inadequate, she's simply living life on her own terms. But this can feel like a silent judgment to those who measure their worth by external validation, societal expectations, or approval from others. Her refusal to conform acts as a mirror, reflecting back the compromises and contradictions that others may not want to face. What makes it even more challenging is that she never points these things out. She won't call you out for seeking validation, for being overly competitive, or for pretending to be someone you're not. Yet, her presence alone makes people hyper-aware of their own behaviors. It's like being in the presence of someone who sees right through the facades and unspoken insecurities, but chooses to remain silent about it. This silent challenge isn't rooted in superiority or malice, it's just who she is. Her unshakable confidence and refusal to play the same games as everyone else create a kind of gravitational pull that forces people to reevaluate themselves. The discomfort isn't something she creates deliberately, but it's unavoidable. Being around a Sigma female feels like a quiet, unspoken dare to be as authentic and self-assured as she is, and for many, that's the most terrifying challenge of all. Number 3. They take risks without seeking approval. Sigma females approach life with a rare boldness that leaves others both mesmerized and unsettled. They don't wait for permission, approval, or validation before making big decisions. Whether it's pursuing a career change, starting a new venture, or walking away from a comfortable but uninspiring situation, they trust their instincts implicitly and act without hesitation. To onlookers, this fearless approach can be unnerving. It's as if they're playing by a completely different set of rules. For many, risk-taking is fraught with hesitation, overthinking, and a need for external reassurance. People often seek advice or approval from friends, family, or colleagues to feel validated before making a move. Watching someone bypass all of that and leap straight into the unknown feels almost alien. It shines a glaring spotlight on the fears and insecurities that hold most people back. The Sigma female's confidence doesn't stem from arrogance or recklessness. It comes from an unshakable belief in her own ability to navigate whatever comes her way. She doesn't rely on others to guarantee her success or soften the blow of failure. This level of self-reliance is both inspiring and intimidating, especially for those who struggle to trust their own judgment. What makes this even more disconcerting is her ability to own the consequences, whether things go right or wrong. If she succeeds, it's a testament to her boldness. If she fails, she treats it as a lesson, not a defeat. This resilience amplifies the discomfort in others, forcing them to confront the risks they've been too afraid to take. In a world where approval often feels like a safety net, the Sigma female's unapologetic leap into uncertainty reminds everyone of their own hesitations, and that's a fear many would rather not face. Number 4. They expose the shallowness of surface-level relationships. Sigma females have no patience for the artificiality that defines so many modern interactions. They don't bother with shallow small talk, empty compliments, or obligatory pleasantries that add nothing of substance to a connection. To them, authenticity is non-negotiable. This refusal to engage in surface-level relationships is not only rare, but also deeply unsettling to those who thrive on superficial social norms. When confronted with a Sigma female's approach, people are forced to realize how much of their communication is performative, an act designed to fit in, please, or avoid discomfort. Her quiet dismissal of this facade feels like an unspoken critique. She doesn't outright call out the emptiness of such interactions, but her disinterest speaks volumes. It leaves others questioning the sincerity of their relationships and the depth of their own social bonds. What makes this even more impactful is how naturally she operates on a different level. Sigma females crave meaningful conversations, connections that are built on mutual respect, and interactions that feel genuine. They won't entertain gossip, superficial banter, or networking for the sake of appearances. This stark contrast highlights the lack of depth in many relationships, and people can't help but feel exposed in her presence. The sting doesn't come from her words, but from her silence. She doesn't need to criticize or point fingers. Her absence from shallow interactions is enough to make people aware of how much they settle for less. It's a subtle, almost unintentional way of challenging the status quo of modern connection. For some, this is an invitation to reevaluate their priorities. For others, it's a mirror they'd rather not look into, one that reflects how hollow their social world can be. Number 5. They see through manipulation instantly. Manipulation is a game as old as time, but Sigma females operate on a level that makes it nearly impossible to deceive them. They possess an uncanny ability to spot manipulation in all its forms. Emotional games, subtle power plays, guilt trips, or even veiled flattery. Their perceptiveness isn't something they boast about. It's simply a byproduct of their sharp intuition and deep understanding of human nature. What's most unsettling is how effortlessly they dismantle these tactics without confrontation or drama. A manipulator thrives on engagement, on eliciting a reaction or controlling the narrative, but when faced with a Sigma female, their games hit a wall of calm detachment. She doesn't take the bait, doesn't respond with the expected emotion, and doesn't play along. This quiet refusal leaves manipulators scrambling, their schemes exposed for what they are, hollow attempts to gain control. To those accustomed to wielding power over others, this can feel like a devastating defeat. They expect to win through subtlety, to steer the conversation or situation without detection. But the Sigma female's ability to see through the smoke and mirrors leaves them feeling powerless, almost irrelevant. Her reaction, or lack thereof, sends a clear message: I see what you're doing, and it doesn't work on me. Even more unsettling is the grace with which she handles these situations. She doesn't need to call out the manipulator or make a scene. Her quiet, composed rejection of their tactics is enough to strip them of their influence. This refusal to engage makes her a formidable presence, someone who is immune to the tricks that others rely on to gain the upper hand. For manipulators, encountering a Sigma female is both humbling and terrifying. It's like trying to catch smoke with bare hands. Number 6. Their calmness under stress is almost alien. When the world is crumbling around them and everyone else is panicking, Sigma females have a way of staying eerily calm. It's not just poise, it's a profound, unshakable composure that feels almost unnatural to those caught up in the chaos. They don't raise their voices, flail about, or let fear dictate their actions. Instead, they assess the situation with razor-sharp focus, as if stress barely registers in their system. This calmness is unnerving because it contrasts so starkly with how most people react to high-pressure situations. While others spiral into anxiety, overreact, or make impulsive decisions, the Sigma female operates with a sense of control that seems almost otherworldly. It's not that she doesn't feel stress, she just doesn't let it consume her. To her, panic is wasted energy, and reacting emotionally is counterproductive. What's truly intimidating is how this calm demeanor exposes everyone else's inability to cope. Her collected presence is like a spotlight on the chaos of others, making their flustered reactions seem exaggerated and ineffective. This unspoken comparison can make people feel insecure, as if their inability to keep it together is on full display. Her calmness isn't just a skill, it's a mindset. She trusts her ability to navigate difficult situations, and she knows that composure often determines the outcome. This quiet confidence inspires awe, but it also creates an undercurrent of discomfort. People can't help but wonder, how does she do it? Why can't I? In the midst of turmoil, the Sigma female becomes a steady anchor, yet her unwavering control can feel almost intimidating. Her ability to remain unshaken highlights the fragility of those around her, leaving an impression that is as unsettling as it is admirable. Number 7. They turn their vulnerabilities into invisible armor. Sigma females have a way of handling their vulnerabilities that leaves others baffled, even uneasy. They don't wear their struggles on their sleeves, nor do they seek validation or sympathy. Instead, they quietly process their pain, insecurities, and setbacks, turning them into a kind of invisible armor. To outsiders, this looks like an almost superhuman level of resilience, and that can be deeply unsettling. Most people are accustomed to externalizing their struggles, whether through venting, seeking reassurance, or leaning on others for support. There's comfort in sharing the weight of one's burdens, but Sigma females approach hardship differently. They face it head-on, dissecting their pain in private, learning from it, and using it to fortify themselves. Their ability to endure without making it a spectacle makes others wonder how they manage to thrive where others might crumble. What's unnerving about this isn't just their strength, it's the quietness of it. They don't announce their battles or broadcast their victories. This stoicism creates an air of mystery, leaving people guessing about what they've endured and how they've emerged so composed. It's a kind of power that feels both inspiring and intimidating because it challenges the idea that vulnerability must be visible or shared to be valid. For those who struggle with their own hardships, the Sigma female's approach can feel like a silent rebuke. She makes it clear, without saying a word, that it's possible to overcome even the hardest challenges without falling apart. This unspoken reminder of their own unresolved struggles or emotional dependence can make others feel exposed. By turning their vulnerabilities into invisible armor, Sigma females don't just protect themselves, they redefine what strength looks like. And for many, that redefinition is as humbling as it is haunting. Number 8. They redefine success by their own rules. Sigma females have an uncanny way of flipping the script on what success means. They don't buy into society's prepackaged ideals of achievement, chasing promotions, accolades, or material possessions, just to keep up appearances. Instead, they carve out their own path, setting goals that align with their personal values and passions. This quiet rebellion against the conventional idea of success is both inspiring and deeply unsettling for those who live by traditional metrics. Their version of success often doesn't look like what people expect. It might be pursuing a creative passion instead of climbing the corporate ladder, prioritizing freedom over financial excess, or choosing a slower, more intentional life when everyone else is rushing toward arbitrary milestones. This refusal to conform challenges the deeply ingrained belief that success is universal and one size fits all. What makes this so disarming is how content they are with their choices. Sigma females don't need external validation to feel accomplished. They're not interested in proving themselves to anyone, and this unshakable self-assurance unnerves those who are constantly seeking approval or competing with others. It's as if their very existence asks the question, why are you chasing someone else's definition of success? This quiet defiance forces others to confront their own motivations. Are they pursuing their dreams, or are they stuck in a race they didn't even choose? The Sigma female's ability to thrive outside the traditional framework exposes how often people settle for a life that doesn't truly fulfill them, simply because it's what they're supposed to do. By redefining success on their own terms, Sigma females don't just free themselves, they subtly challenge everyone around them to do the same. And for those who've never questioned the rat race, that challenge can be both liberating and deeply unsettling. Number 9. Their complete emotional detachment feels like rejection. Sigma females navigate the world with a profound sense of emotional detachment, a trait that often leaves others feeling unsettled. They don't wear their emotions on their sleeves, and they certainly don't engage in the performative vulnerability that many rely on to connect. For those who crave constant affirmation, their emotional minimalism can feel like rejection, even when it's not intended to be. This detachment isn't a lack of feeling. Sigma females experience emotions deeply, but instead of externalizing them, they process internally, often appearing calm or indifferent on the surface. To those accustomed to overt displays of affection or validation, this restraint can come across as cold or even dismissive. It's not that they don't care, they simply express it differently, in ways that aren't always obvious to others. What's most unsettling is how effortlessly they maintain this composure in situations where others might break down, lash out, or seek comfort. Their ability to remain emotionally self-sufficient challenges the unspoken social norm that connection requires constant emotional exchange. For people who rely on these exchanges to feel valued or seen, the Sigma female's emotional distance can be confusing and even threatening. This dynamic often creates a power shift in relationships. Those who thrive on control or validation find themselves unable to penetrate the Sigma female's emotional armor. Her self-contained nature denies them the reassurance they seek, leaving them questioning their own worth. Ultimately, her emotional detachment isn't about rejecting others. It's about maintaining her autonomy. But for those who equate closeness with constant emotional engagement, her independence feels like a wall they can't climb. And that quiet, unshakable distance can be more unnerving than any confrontation. It forces people to confront their own need for validation, often leaving them wondering why her indifference feels so personal. Number 10. They can detach from toxicity instantly. Sigma females have an unparalleled ability to detach from toxicity with a level of decisiveness that many find almost brutal. When faced with negative environments, manipulative relationships, or emotionally draining situations, they don't hesitate. They leave. There's no prolonged inner turmoil or over-analysis, no extended period of trying to salvage what's clearly unsalvageable. They simply recognize that staying would be detrimental to their peace of mind, and they take action immediately. This level of emotional clarity can be unsettling to those who remain trapped in unhealthy cycles. It's easy to cling to the familiar, even if it's toxic, and many people convince themselves they can fix or cope with destructive relationships or situations. But the Sigma female doesn't waste time in self-deception. If something or someone is compromising her well-being, she doesn't agonize over the decision. She steps away, preserving her mental and emotional space without a second thought. For those who are stuck, watching this can feel like a sharp reminder of their own inability to break free. The Sigma female's swift detachment exposes the fact that it's not a lack of options that keeps people in toxic environments, but fear, guilt, or comfort in the familiar. This can feel like a wake-up call, one that stings because it highlights the gap between knowing something is harmful and actually having the strength to act on it. What's unsettling about the Sigma female's detachment is that it's not driven by anger or drama. It's simply a matter of self-respect. She recognizes her worth and refuses to waste energy on anything or anyone who doesn't align with that. In a world where people often tolerate toxicity for far too long, the Sigma female's decisive departure is a bold, unspoken challenge. You don't have to stay stuck, and for many, that's a hard truth to face. In a world obsessed with approval, conformity, and the constant pursuit of validation, Sigma females stand as a powerful, often unnerving anomaly. They challenge societal norms without saying a word, radiate an almost supernatural calm in chaos, and redefine success by their own rules. They move through life with a quiet, unshakable confidence that exposes the vulnerabilities and insecurities of those around them, often without ever intending to. They don't need anyone's permission to be who they are, and their ability to detach from toxicity or be misunderstood without hesitation reveals a level of emotional mastery that most can only dream of. For those around them, being in the presence of a Sigma female is an invitation to face uncomfortable truths about themselves, their relationships, and the choices they make. Her refusal to engage in shallow interactions, her calm resilience under pressure, and her unapologetic independence can be both awe-inspiring and unsettling. But perhaps what makes her so extraordinary is that despite all this power, she doesn't seek to control or dominate. She simply exists, and in that existence she forces others to reconsider what they value, who they are, and why they're afraid to break free from the expectations placed upon them. Sigma females may not be for everyone, and that's exactly how they like it. Their essence is not one of exclusion, but of freedom. Freedom to exist as they are, without compromise or apology. In a world full of noise, they are the quiet revolution that leaves a lasting, indelible mark on those brave enough to observe. If you found yourself captivated by the strength, mystery, and unapologetic authenticity of Sigma females, then this is just the beginning. Don't miss out on more deep dives into the world of extraordinary individuals who defy expectations and change the game. Subscribe to the channel now and join a community that embraces real talk, no fluff, and a fresh perspective on life. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a moment of the raw truth we're bringing your way. This journey is just getting started, and trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next.